Hello everyone, today I'm going to be doing a Reddit video. Excuse the camera quality. Stop looking at me. Excuse the camera quality, as I'm literally using the whatever it's called, the webcorder or something, whatever it is, on my laptop. So, what? The webcam. I'm using the webcam on my laptop. And this Reddit video is going to be about the subreddit Am I the A-hole, where basically the person writes a story of what's happening in their life, and the commenters have to decide whether they're the A-hole, they're not the A-hole, or whether everybody just sucks. So basically I'm going to read the story, and then I'm going to say what I think, and then I'm going to read some of the comments. So the first story was posted by Former Savings 1, and it's called Am I the A-hole for telling my wife that getting pregnant is not a job? I want to be clear before we start, I totally understand that being pregnant has a multitude of different effects on different women. I understand that some women have it easier than others in terms of their pregnancies, like some women can work on their feet until the day the baby is born, whereas some can't after 3 months. That is not the issue at hand. My wife has been out of work for 6 months due to recent things at her job, none of which are her fault. We have been trying for a baby for over a year with no results, besides IVF, and have been working hard to have a baby. With all this in mind, my wife has taken it upon herself, from recent world-changing events, to say that getting pregnant is now her job. I completely disagree. She stopped looking for a job now and has stopped any amount of side work she was initially doing as well. I said to her that her looking for a job would help with the income for the baby later, but she says that all the work required for making a baby has made it a full-time job. Now, I don't necessarily agree with her that this is a lot of work, but I've been working 70 hours a week for the past 6 months. I don't want to come home to find out that I have to do 50% of the chores because she was working all day, as she says. I find this to be a cop-out and quite frankly lazy and ridiculous. Now, I never said this verbatim to her, but these are my thoughts. Am I the a-hole for this? Edit, just to clarify, I understand that being pregnant can be a job in and of itself, but getting pregnant is something else entirely. Okay, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, yeah. At first I thought you were just saying, like, the whole process of pregnancy, like you were saying that it wasn't a job, when I think it kind of is a job in a way. But yeah, like the fact that she's saying that trying to get pregnant is like the job and that she doesn't... What are you doing? Okay, never mind that. I can't remember what I was saying. Yeah, but the fact that she's referring to actually getting pregnant as the job, and that she won't get a job to help with the baby, or the fact that she won't even do all of the housework. I mean, I understand that, like, some couples have that arrangement that one will go to work and the other will do all the housework, and that works for some people, but she's just doing the same amount of housework as she was before. And this person's working 70 hours a week. I mean, that is a lot of hours a week. I wouldn't even do that, probably. Honestly, poor guy. I'm not the a-hole at all. Now, it won't scroll down. What have the people said? The people have said, not the a-hole. As somebody who had difficulty getting pregnant, I can say that stress can play a factor. However, it doesn't mean that she should live completely stress-free while expecting you to carry the financial burden and also half of the house chores. She can only do half of the job of trying to conceive. She needs you to do the other half. In fact, staying at home and becoming baby-obsessed is pretty unhealthy. She needs to redirect her attention elsewhere. Like working. Yeah, agreed. This laptop is being so slow now that I'm recording. Stop it. Seriously, when do these comments end? Not the a-hole. Well, being pregnant is taxing. Getting pregnant, no matter how you go about it, isn't a job. Sounds like she is a lazy this is a lazy cop-out. How is she working on getting pregnant while you're not at home? True. Not the a-hole, it's not a job. Billions of women have managed to hold a job and have a child, including women with pregnancy issues. Yeah, everyone pretty much just thinks that the guy is not the a-hole. And that she's basically just being lazy, which I think she is. Okay, so the next story is called Am I the A-hole for insisting my son get sleep instead of do homework? And it was posted by FreshTripps. Okay, my 14-year-old son's got into the habit of staying up until 2 or 3 in the morning and doing his schoolwork. He has to wake up at 7 a.m. to get to school. I called his mum, we're divorced and live separately, and expressed this concern, but she said she wasn't worried. I told her we'd have to go to bed at a normal hour when he was staying here. She basically said if I could make that happen, more power to me. So I told our son it's fine to stay up every once in a while to catch up if behind or in the middle of a big crunch, but that it couldn't be a habit and he needed to have the lights out by 12. He said that wasn't possible, so I went through his work with him and helped him prioritise what was worth investing full effort and what was just okay to do the minimum on. He wasn't goofing off or managing his time poorly. He does his homework in the living room. We can see him working. His school assigns 4 to 5 hours of homework a night, and it's just not feasible. So we cut it down to 2 with smart prioritising. Then he went back to his mum's place. She called me furious, saying it's not good, saying it's good that our son has the discipline to apply himself fully to school. But if his friends are staying up that late, we talk to other parents, then there's no reason he shouldn't. I told her his health is paramount and he needs to sleep, especially at his age. So if she had another suggestion, I was all ears. She said I was stunting his future potential and teaching him poor work habits, and that I was an A for suggesting it's ever reasonable to give half effort to any schoolwork. I can't tell if I'm being that unreasonable, or if this is just me and my ex's struggle to co-parent perpetually, amplifying minor problems. Am I the a-hole? I think that no, you're not the a-hole at all. I think that when you're helping somebody prioritise work, he's not putting less effort, he's just kind of doing something according to what's more important, which is good, because you have to do that in real life. Like, I have to do that in my work. I have to prioritise what's more important, even if there's other things that need to be done, and he's going to need to learn that at some point. And actually, I think that, what did the mum say, that it was going to stunt his potential? But if he's going to go to school tired all the time and just completely lacking in sleep, then that's going to stunt his potential for learning, because he's not going to be able to concentrate for long periods of time. And it's really bad for his health that he's probably only getting, like, what time do you go to sleep? 3 a.m, like 4 hours, probably like 3-4 hours of sleep per night. I mean, that's not a lot, even for an adult. That's not a lot of hours of sleep. Poor kid. Honestly, what you're doing is the right thing. And you know what? I think all of these other kids' parents should be helping them as well. So what do the people have to say? Not the a-hole. 4 hours of sleep is absolutely insufficient sleep for anyone. With that little sleep, the body will start to have random shutdowns where you'll randomly black out because your brain is trying to force you to rest a little. Occasionally pulling late nights can be doable, but in the end, if he doesn't sleep, he won't retain any of the information he's studying, as sleep is essential for memory storage. Yep. OP, just wanted to point something out to you from my own experience, although I don't know if it's completely relevant. Last year, when I was a freshman, my parents tried to do this, tried to make me stop working at a point. Several parents of my other friends have done this. Several things have happened. First of all, one of my friends used to fake being asleep and then get her work open and continue schoolwork into the morning. If he's taking a rough course load, it's possible that could occur. Secondly, it caused me in particular really bad anxiety. I ended up having serious trouble sleeping and slept less after the regulations were in place with a lot more stress. Thirdly, one of my friends ended up with his depression getting worse after his parents tried to get him to sleep by 11. He got insanely stressed and sad because he became lower performing at school. As the above commenter has said, sleep is important. Here's what I say. Instead of adding recreation into his schedule, tell him to sleep after dinner and wake up in 8 hours. I do this a lot, and I know quite a few others do. When you're awake from 7 in the morning to 2 the next morning, you end up generally not productive and wasting time in between. To cut down on that, after he comes back from sports practice, maybe you guys should eat dinner immediately, and then he should go to bed as early as possible to wake up in 6 to 8 hours. He'll wake up refreshed and a lot more productive. Maybe pass that by him. It also gets rid of a lot more distractions. I'm obviously no expert, but I hope this helps. Yeah, that's a good idea, because I mean, he'll get more sleep that way, unless he's, I don't know, unless he's not a morning person. But you know, I think that's much better than having 4 hours of sleep every night. Actually, I think we're going to move on to the next story, because some of these comments are very long. Okay, this one is by Account for Throw 223, and it's called Am I the A-hole for publicly revealing who my biological parents are on Facebook and kind of messing things up for them? And I thought this one was interesting, because he or she or whoever has already been voted the A-hole. Also, I haven't actually read any of these before I did this video. I just kind of picked ones that I thought were interesting. Okay, I'm going to start now. I was given up for adoption when I was a baby by my parents, who were 19 years old. Due to reasons, I was taken from my adopted parents and put in foster care when I was 11, and remained in the system until I went to college. When I turned 18, I was given my mother's contact information by someone. I found out she was married to my biological father. They had public profiles on Facebook and Instagram. I ended up messaging my mother, who never responded. I then tried to message my father, who basically replied saying he's sorry, but they would rather not have me in their lives. Then it took them a while to grieve over giving me up, and that they don't want to go through all that pain again. Well, at this point, I got pretty peed off, because I think it's kind of shitey. They think they can prevent me from knowing the rest of my family. I ended up messaging my grandmother, my mother's mum, who was actually happy to know me. I met her in person and we really bonded. I also have 2 younger siblings, but I didn't contact them after what my father said. Well, 4 months ago, I saw my father post a picture of them at some church event and say, "My beautiful wife and our 2 amazing kids." This was on their church Facebook page. This was probably wrong, but I replied saying, "Don't you mean 3 kids?" I didn't really expect the amount of people responding for that as I did. There were a bunch of people my parents knew that started asking questions. I freaked out and deleted my comment. Then I started getting DMs from people, including people I was related to. Later that day, my grandmother made a post confirming I was a child given up for adoption. So now I started making connections with some extended family and have been to a few family parties. My parents have been told they aren't invited unless they accept me, which they haven't. The whole drama has been kind of messed up with their lives and business. My parents are now apparently separated. I don't really accept that as my fault. Am I the a-hole for doing what I did? Right, so what do I think about this? I think that nobody's really the a-hole here. See, that was actually, I did say the swear word. Well, I think that because the person obviously wanted a connection with their parents, and, you know, I mean, I don't really blame them for wanting that connection at all. And it's kind of sad that the parents didn't want to know the child, but then again, that's not really their fault either, and it wasn't really right of the person in question, to the OP, to put that on Facebook, but they were just kind of lashing out of anger, and I don't think they meant it, and although they don't really think, I don't think they realise what they did really, so maybe they are slightly the a-hole. It's kind of sad that the parents are now separated as a result of that, and I think that probably was their fault. And the grandmother definitely should not have got involved. And it's sad that the people are pressuring the parents into inviting the person into family functions. And although, since they got put in foster care at 11, I guess that's probably why they did it, because they wanted a family connection, but I don't know, it just wasn't the right thing to do. And obviously, when the parents put the kid into care, they probably didn't think that that was what was going to happen. They probably thought that they were going to get adopted and then that was it. I don't know, it's just a terrible situation overall. A moderator has had to put a message on this subreddit saying, "Be civil." So that's not good. The top comment here, which got gold, says, "Yes, you're the a-hole. You intentionally disrespected their wishes. I get it, it sucks. I was put up for adoption myself and even went through a failed adoption too. But that doesn't mean you get a pass on shitting on their wishes like that. That was pretty much the worst way you could have gone about things. You could have quietly started reaching out to people who seemed related to them through private messages. It isn't your fault that they seem to have separated, but it is a total a-hole move you did. You're the a-hole because of how you went about things, not because you wanted to know your family. Edit, you know, I find it interesting how many people here aren't considered. Odd it is that literally no one in their family knew about the OP, not even the maternal grandmother. How so few people are thinking here. How exactly did two 19-year-old kids get pregnant and give up a child, and even their parents didn't know? What kind of relationship did they have with their families that they had to keep something like that a secret? Why couldn't they depend on their family for support? But no, they are all, how dare they not want a relationship with that child now, and congrats on finding a loving family. Where was that family when two 19-year-old kids felt the best option for their child was to give them up for adoption? It is not easy to keep a full-term pregnancy a secret from a family who cares about you. So the fact that they did, maybe there was a good reason for it. I don't know, maybe they didn't live with the parents at this point. Although this person's probably right, because obviously you would see your parents, in 9 months. I think they have a point there. So slow. This one got gold as well. It says, even without young kids, the father explained the exact reason they did not want contact. Sorry to sound like a broken record. I posted a similar comment in a different adoption post a few weeks ago. I used to do a decent amount of juvenile work that would occasionally end with parents relinquishing their parental rights. It was absolutely heartbreaking. I sat there while the parents were sobbing because they knew or believed they could not be good parents at the time. Choosing to give up the child was one of, if not the hardest decision they had to make. It can take them years to get over the self-doubt about the situation. I cannot blame a person who moved past that decision from not wanting to tear off that scab nearly 2 decades later. But as you pointed out, it seems like they were right to not want contact. OP was intentionally trying to hurt and embarrass them. OP reaching out to make a connection with her birth parents does not make her an a-hole, but not taking their response and attempting to force them to contact certainly does. Now that I'm on my soapbox, OP's actions are downright hurtful. Giving a child up for adoption is far from a socially acceptable thing, and a great many people look down upon it. OP used the fact to publicly shame her birth parents, besides perpetuating the stereotype that making the extremely difficult decision to put a child up for adoption is a moral failing on the parents. Stories like these are going to make it much less likely that other birth parents are going to be willing to meet the children they gave up for adoption earlier in life. I was considering an open adoption, but look at what happened with OP's parents when the child came back 2 decades later and tried turning a whole church community against them. Of all the adoptions I've been involved with, I've never seen parents happy about giving up the child. Trying to perpetuate that is shameful, while completely ignoring that many times it is the best choice for the child is going to encourage people to start making much worse decisions about what to do if they find themselves in that situation. This public shame is why you'd find children abandoned at hospitals, churches, or police stations. This public shame is why you see children getting rushed off to emergency care because the parents couldn't afford to feed the infant or even put a roof over their head. It's pretty sad. Like I said, it's just a crappy situation. I think that's enough for that one. So this story is called Am I the A-hole for talking to my daughter about bullying? Or for how I talk to my daughter about bullying. And it's posted by throwawayAITABully. Edit. Thanks everyone for your input. I plan to sit John down tomorrow, show him your comments, and discuss what made him react this way. Hopefully, I'll have a good update within the next couple of days. Throwaway because my husband uses Reddit. So I, 34 female, have been married to John, 36 male, for about 12 years, and I've never seen him flip out about something like this before. We have a daughter, Fiona, 14 female, and a son, Will, 10 male. During lockdown, John has been working 12-hour shifts as an essential worker. A few days ago, I got a message from one of the girls at Fiona's school's mother. She let me know about her daughter being bullied by Fiona and her group of friends and sent screenshots of what they've been doing to her. I was devastated, to say the least. I was bullied relentlessly as a teenager, and Fiona and I are close, so it just came as a huge surprise. I messaged the mum back apologising, thanking her for telling me and saying I'd speak to Fiona. This was not long after John had left to work, so I decided to tackle it immediately rather than wait until he got home. I called Fiona in, showed her the message and screenshots, and she went instantly on the defensive, complaining that they didn't want to be friends with her and that she was weird and deserved it. She kept shrugging it off, so I decided a different approach. I told Fiona about the bullying I had experienced when I was younger, how it had affected me, how it pushed me to some horrible places and to do some terrible things, and the depression I lived with for a very long time. After I'd finished talking, Fiona said to me, "Whatever," and stomped off. But then a couple of hours later she came back to me sobbing and apologising. We talked some more. She let me know she'd also been struggling with mental health and didn't know how to handle it. After a couple of hours, we had both cried a lot, but I let her know that she was still going to be punished, which she understood and accepted. When my husband got home that night, I filled him in on everything that had happened, and he absolutely lost it with me out of nowhere. He couldn't believe that he shared that I had shared my struggles to Fiona, and that I had tried to manipulate her by using her feelings into controlling her. He told me that I should have punished her and told the school and let them handle it, and that she was just a kid and didn't need to be guilt-tripped. He said that I had traumatised her, Before I could get a word in otherwise, he stomped out to the living room, where he has been staying for the past 3 days. Fiona and I have been really connecting since our talk, but John is still not speaking to me, except for in front of the kids. I genuinely don't feel like I did anything wrong. It's not like Fiona doesn't understand mental health, but John's reaction makes me feel like maybe I've been a huge a-hole and I could have somehow damaged my daughter forever. So, am I the a-hole? Too long didn't read, found out my daughter was bullying a girl, punished her and informed her of my bullying story. Husband thinks I've traumatized her for life. Am I the a-hole? Right, so I think that bullying sucks, and I think that what you did was actually the right thing, because, I feel like if you had just punished the daughter and, not told her anything about your experience bullying and not told her about your mental health, then maybe she probably would have kept bullying the girl, because I feel like if you connect it to you and how you feel, you're someone she cares about, so she's going to think, well, maybe I wouldn't want that girl to feel like how you feel, and then she's not going to do it anymore, because she knows. Whereas if you just say, don't bully such people because it makes them feel like crap, she's not going to take it as seriously as if you had told her your story. And since mental health is something that she understands, as you have already said, then that's a great way of telling her, because then she'll make the connection that if you bully someone, that's gonna decrease their mental health and make them feel like how she feels, basically, and then she's gonna make the connection in her own head. Whereas, if you just punish her for doing it, she's just gonna think that you're being horrible to her when you're not. And I don't understand why, and you definitely haven't traumatized her, because obviously she's actually talking to you now, and she feels connected to you. And I don't know why he thinks that at all, or why he's not speaking to you. And maybe he's a little bit childish for not speaking to you, especially 3 days without speaking to you. It's a bit ridiculous in the end. What have other people said? Not the a-hole, this was handled so well. I don't know what your husband is experiencing right now, but I definitely think he needs to talk through some things, because that reaction doesn't seem healthy. Yeah, I agree. Maybe when he was younger, he bullied people, and maybe that's why he thinks the way that he does, because he's taking it from her perspective and thinking, I wouldn't want to be talked to like that. But it's good that your daughter understands you. Not the a-hole, you helped your daughter understand the issue from the other side, and she responded to your honesty by opening up in return. Did your husband's parents guilt-trip him when he was a kid? I wonder why this, in particular, has become the focal point for this pandemic stress. By the way, this also might be a good topic for the subreddit parenting, r/parenting, or whatever, depending on the type of feedback you are looking for. There's a lot of comments here. Not the a-hole, your husband's reaction is extreme, and I'm wondering why. One, as a parent, could he really be upset and ashamed about Fiona's actions, or his own role in them as a parent, and it's getting directed at you? Sounds like dad and daughter have similar personalities or ways of coping. Two, in terms of worrying that Fiona's traumatized by discussing your mental health, does he feel traumatized by your mental health issues in general? Maybe he's carrying a lot of fear or stigma around mental health. 3, I'd be most worried about his perception of guilt-tripping and manipulation. Her actions by your emotions. Again, is this something he feels he is experiencing? Maybe in your marriage or past or something. Really stressful situation for you all. Hope you get it eased out and maybe get some help with it. Not the a-hole, your reaction to this was perfect. Like, that's one of those Hallmark Channel mums would do. Absolutely heartwarming, tear-jerkingly. I wish my mum were like you, kind of perfect. I don't know what your husband's problem is. I'm so confused by him. I wonder if he has another problem with the relationship that this somehow triggered. I haven't lived with an abusive mum, so I'm kind of an authority on emotional manipulation / abuse. And there's a huge difference between twisting the story to control someone's behaviour and sharing your life experiences to help your child make better choices. Your daughter's reaction proves that this is exactly what she needed from you. I can't talk to my mum like that, so the fact that she knows she can talk to you and has opened up about something that's hard to talk about as mental health is huge. You got to the root of the problem and gave her a chance at healing and living a better life. Please don't doubt yourself there. He's wrong. He is completely wrong here, and I can't help feeling that there's some underlying problem to cause such an overreaction. I think that is going to be the end of the video. I don't know how long that went on for, but it felt like a long time. So, if I decide to do another one of these videos, or a vlog or something, I guess I will see you next time.